Om Sadashivasamārambhāṃ Shankarācārya-madhyamāṃ Asmadācārya-paryantāṃ Vande Guru-paraṁparāम्. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saha Vīryam Karvavahai
Yeah.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mahavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we'll continue with the first chapter, second section, mantra number 21. Prathama Adhyaya, Dvitiya Valli, mantra 21. Let us chant. Asino Duram Rajati
आसीनो
आसीनो
दूरं
दूरं
व्रजति
व्रजति
Shayano Yati Sarvatah
शयानो
शयानो
याति
याति
सर्वतः
सर्वतः
Astam Madam Devam
हस्तं मदामदं
देवम्
देवम्
Madanyo Gyatumarhati.
मदन्यो
यन्यो
मदन्यो
ज्ञातुमर्हति
ज्ञातुमर्हति
Okay, so we have said that we're talking about two aspects of the nature. One is with the body, one is without the body. And that is what is said here. Asino Duram Rajati. He remains stationary and yet travels. So remains stationary is from the viewpoint of the Atma without the Upadi. So Nirupadika Drishtya, what does it do? It remains stationary. And Duram Rajati, it travels all over. This is from the standpoint of the Atma endowed with the Upadi, with the body. So when the body travels, the travel of the body is attributed to the Atma. And therefore there are two aspects. The higher aspect, Nirupadika, without the Upadi, which doesn't travel, all-pervading Atma. And the aspect with the Upadi, which we call the Jiva, it seems to travel all over. The travel of the body is attributed to the Atma. Since I don't know the original Nirupadika Atma as all-pervading Akarta, cannot travel, I take the travel of the body and attribute it to the Atma. Then, Sayano Yati Sarvataha. Sayano. Atma seems to be lying down, seems to be stationary, and yet, while lying down, it seems to extend all over. Sarvataha Yati. So, again, meaning that even though I am the Sarvagata Atma, the all-pervading consciousness, I think that I am in this one place, in the body, and therefore location is attributed. And therefore, whenever I am asked where I am, I say I am in this room. That is from the point of view of the Upadhi only. Therefore, in Sushupti Avastha, what happens? The localization, the sense of localization that I am located here in this body, in this room, this is all caused by the body. And since the mind is not available during Sushupti Avastha, Sarvataha Yati means I no longer have the limitation caused by identification with the body. So it is as if I am expanding. And the moment I wake up, the body Abhimana comes back. Okay. Shankara in his commentary gives an interesting example. He talks about Chintamani. So Chintamani, does anybody know what Chintamani is?
a jewel, a precious jewel.
That is okay.
I
What is
don't
special
know
about
about
it?
that.
Okay. This
Hmm.
Chintamani in the Puranas, it is supposed to be a precious stone found in Swarga, in heaven. And there is a speciality about this stone. It responds to the uh, changes in your thoughts, right? So the stone changes form according to what the thoughts that are taking place in your mind. So if you are thinking of your house, the chintamani will change form to your house. If you're thinking about your daughter, the chintamani will take the form of the daughter. So he says this is how this particular idea is to be understood. That it is mythical. It doesn't really take place. It's only taking place in your thoughts. And then we look at the third quarter, Kastam Madamadam Devam. So Madamadam has to be broken up as Mada and Amada. Mada is Ananda, another name for Ananda. Amada means absence of Ananda. And therefore, what does it refer to? Remember, the discussion is about the Atma with Upadi, Nirupadika Swarupam, and Sopadika Swarupam. Atma without Upadi and Atma with Upadi. So, Madam means it is talking about the Nirupadika Swarupam. The Upadi less, not limited by Upadi, Atma. And that absence of limitation is Madam, is Ananda, and Amadam is the Sopadika Upadi. That is Sopadika Atma. Atma, limited by the body, by the Upadi, is called Amadam. So again, two aspects. The Ananda aspect is related to the formless, all-pervading Atma, and the not Ananda, the sorrow aspect, Dukkham aspect, is being related to the Atma, which has been limited by the Upadi. So essentially, what is being said that Ananda is like Nirupadika Swarupam, the nature of the Atma without the Upadi, that is Ananda. But sorrow, it is borrowed, like the body is borrowed. The Sopadika Dharma, that is here the body is the Upadi, the body is superimposed, and therefore it says sorrow is also borrowed, it is superimposed. And Kastam Madam Edam, Madam Adam Amadam Devam. So this kind of Devam, and here Devam is to taken as the effulgent Atma, Kastam Madanyo Gyatum Arhati. Who but somebody like me can know this Atma? So this indicates that I am here Yamaraj is saying, who but somebody like me can know the Atma? Indicating that, hey, Nachiketas, you are also possessing the same sadhana chatushtayam which I have. And therefore, you are also adhikari to know the Atma. Now we look at mantra number 22. We will chant. So please unmute yourself. Ashariram sharireshu
Ashariram
Ashariram
sharireshu
sharireshu
anavastheshvavasthitam
anavasteshvavasthitam
anavasteshvavasthitam
anavastheshvavasthitam
anavasteshvavasthitam
anavasteshvavasthitam
Mahantam vibhumatmanam
Mahatma
Mahatma Vibhum
vibhumatmanam
Atmanam
Vibhumatmanam
Tva dhiro na sochati.
Matva
matva
Dhiro
Adhiruna
dhiro na
Nashoti
Sochati.
shoshati.
Okay. So, Matva. So, Matva is from the fourth quarter. Matva dhiro na sochati. Matva means having known. Having known what? You have to connect it to the word before that. Vibhum Atmanam. So, Matva, having known the Atmanam. And what kind of Atmanam? Ashariram, which has no body. And Avasthitam. So you have to break that word up. Anavastheshu avasthitam. The third word of the first line. Anavastheshu avasthitam. And therefore, Matva, Atmanam, having known this Atma, Ashariram, which has no body, and Avasthitam, which is permanent, where Anavastheshu, in the impermanent Sharireshu. So the word, actually, if you're going to do Anvaya, it will be Matva Atmanam Ashariram Avasthitam Anavastheshu Sharireshu. Which means having known the Atma, which has no body and which is permanent, which is Nityam. And how is it Nityam? Anavastheshu Shariram. It is the permanent one in the Anavastheshu Shariram, in all the impermanent bodies. This idea we have seen in Bhagavad Gita also. That which is the one who sees the permanent in the impermanent is the wise one, Krishna says. So the same idea is being repeated here. Having known the Atma which has no body, and what kind of Atma is that? It is the permanent entity in all the impermanent temporary bodies. That is the first line. And then more description follows. Mahantam, which is big, and Vibhum, which is all pervading. Then what happens because of all this? Once having known all this, what happens? Dhiraha na shochati. Dhiraha is the adhikari who has got sadhu chatushtayam, who has got the four qualifications, who has got discrimination, na shochati. He does not grieve. Okay, this also is a Mahavakya mantra. So, asarireshu, the Atma is present in the form of the permanent consciousness in every body. So that is what's meant by ashariram avasthitam anavastheshu sharireshu. This permanent consciousness principle, which is the Atma, asarireshu, it is present in the temporary bodies. And that is why anavastheshu, the impermanent body, the Atma is present in this temporary body, but the Atma is always permanent. Now, when we are reaching these kind of discussions, we should mentally start replacing the word Atma with I. Because as long as you use the word Atma, then you are as if differentiating between I and Atma. So therefore, for you, Atma will seem to be a third entity. And therefore, it's important that at least mentally, when I am studying, when I am listening, I should start replacing the word Atma with the word I. Actually, the word Atma in Sanskrit means I only, right? But unfortunately, it has come to mean Atma is something else. So I'm discussing the Atma. Actually, I'm discussing myself only. Right? And therefore, as long as I am clear about what is mortal and what is immortal, there is no harm in having a body. Because I can use this body, this mortal body. What is its use? It is the tool to help me understand that I am the immortal Atma. And the body is needed, right? You for going and sitting and studying Vedanta. In fact, all of you are sitting and listening to me. You need the body for that. The good body is needed for going to the teacher and listening to him. And therefore, ashariram, even though I am intimately associated with the body, I don't have a body. I don't really have a connection with the body, even though I am pervading the body, and the very life in the body is because of me only. But I have no connection because the body cannot contaminate me. Like the space. The space in your house is not contaminated by the dirty walls, by the paint in the walls. It doesn't contaminate the space. And that nature where you accommodate something, but yet you are not touched or contaminated or polluted by that something, that is called asanga swarupa. That which cannot be contaminated at all. There is no sambandha at all. Right? Now, you have to be very careful when you enunciate this. When you speak about this, or when you understand this, you have to be very careful. We are not saying that Atma has no bodies. Asanga doesn't mean Atma has no bodies. Why? Because all the bodies are in the Atma only. But you have to understand it as saying that Atma has no connection, has no relationship with the bodies. The bodies come and go. Atma is not touched. The bodies can be polluted, can be contaminated with all sort of negative energies, but the Atma is not touched. So that is the Asanga Swarup. Then, Mahantam Vibhum. So, there are two words. Mahantam means very big. Vibhum means all pervading. So, Shankara in his commentary notes this, that the word Mahantam, he says, is always relative. The word big is always relative. How will you explain that statement that the word big is always relative?
In comparison to something only, it can be big or small.
For example, give an example.
Say we take a planet, moon is smaller than the Earth, but Saturn would be bigger than the Earth, something like that.
So we're talking
Acharya,
about bigness. Mahantam is bigness.
in comparison to an ant, an elephant is very.
Yeah, that,
Absolutely. A
yes.
big ant does not carry the same order of bigness as a big elephant. So
Right.
that is what is meant here. Both the word you are using the word big for both big ant and big elephant, but the quantum of bigness, the order of bigness is different, and that therefore it's relative. And therefore Shankara says Mahantam is a little confusing because it's always relative, and that is why he says we should add Vibhum. Vibhum means what?
All pervading.
Sarvavyapi. And therefore, when you add the word all pervading to the word big, the two words together, Mahantam Vibhum, in all pervading big, will become what? Infinitely big. Because all pervading means infinite. And therefore, the confusion in the bigness is taken away. It is the biggest thing possible because it is all pervading. Okay. Now, when I say, see, there are two words which sadhakas use. One is dasoham. Dasoham means what?
Welcome.
I'm your dasa.
I'm
I
your
am
dasa.
your dasa. I am your servant. Okay. And this is very common in bhakti darsana, that you tell the Lord that I am your servant. So when I say dasoham, remember that you are saying it from the standpoint of the body, right? So the word dasoham is sopadika dharma, is attributable to me only when I say from the standpoint of the body. Why do I say that? Because my body is finite and limited and subject to so many problems, while Ishvara's body is the universe, is infinite, unlimited, and has no problem. So therefore, I say Dasoham. But when I am speaking from the standpoint of consciousness, Nirupadika Dharma, what should I say?
Soham.
So,
Soham.
right. So this is the difference between Dasoham and Soham. Dasoham is Sopadika Dharma. Soham is Nirupadika Dharma. Dasoham is with the Upadi. Soham is without the Upadi from the point of consciousness alone. It is only from the point of consciousness alone that I can say I am Atma or I am Ishvara. And therefore, as long as I am bound by the body, as long as I identify with the body, in other words, as long as I am using Sopadika Dharma, I will continue to be dasoham. I will continue to be a servant. I will continue to be dependent. I will never have independence. There is no question of moksha for a sopadika dharma. And therefore, I have to graduate to soham. Okay. When I am saying this, remember, I am not saying that you disregard or, don't give value to karma. Karma is a very powerful force in the relative universe. In Vyavaharika, karma is very powerful because every experience that I have, punya experience, papa experience, all karma phalam is given only in accordance with the law of karma. As long as I think I am subject to the law of karma, am I in sopadika dharma or upadika dharma? I am in
Sopadika.
sopadika dharma because I am talking about the body only. Karma affects only the body and the mind. Karma cannot affect consciousness. And therefore, even if I'm a very, very, deep and devout bhakta, it will never save me from the effects of karma. Because bhakta means dasoham. Dasoham means body. Body means karmic effects are going to be there. And therefore, any uh, teaching which tells you that you can get moksha means what? That you will be free from karma. So any teaching which tells you that you will be free from karma by being a bhakta, that's a huge misconception. You should always know that as long as you are a bhakta, you are in Vyavaharika, you are undergoing Sopadika Dharma. Sopadika Dharma is subject to law of karma. There will always be birth and rebirth. There is no moksha for a bhakta. And so he says, Dhiraha, the one who has understood the nature of the Atma as asariram, without body, avasthitam, permanent, mahantam vibhuhu, infinitely big, such a dhiraha na shochati. He has no sorrow at all. Why? Because in this kind of knowledge, there is no possibility of sorrow. For the man who has claimed, for the sadhaka, who has understood and claimed the Atma as himself, there is absolutely no legitimate reason for sorrow to remain. Sorrow will be there in the mind. Mind is anatma. But you have claimed yourself as Atma. So while sorrow may remain in your mind, remember that you as Atma will not have sorrow. And this is what Krishna said. Where did he say this? Very beginning of the Bhagavad Gita he said. Do you remember?
Second chapter.
Second chapter, 11th verse. Panditaha na sochanti.
No, sure.
He said that you have no legitimate reason to grieve. And because you are grieving, you are not a Pandita. Therefore, the Nirupathika Atma, the Atma where you have claimed yourself as the Atma alone, discarding the body, that Atma can never have any worry, any sorrow, any trouble. Okay. Now we go to another great verse, verse number 23. We will chant. Please unmute yourself. Nayamatma pravachena labhyah
Nayamatma
नायमात्मा
pravachena
प्रवचेन
labhyah
लभ्यः
न मेधया न बहुना श्रुतेन
न
न
मेधया
medhaya
न
न
बहुधा
bahuna
श्रुतेन
shruteन
यमे वैश वृणुते तेन लभ्यः
yame
यमेवैष
vaisha
वृणुते
vrunute
तेन
tena
लभ्यः
labhyah
तस्येष आत्मा विवृणुते तनुं स्वाम्
तस्यैष
तस्यैष
आत्मा
आत्मा
विवृणुते तनोः
vivrunute tanum swam.
Okay. So I just unmute you all first. Okay. So Nayam Atma. Na Ayam Atma. So Ayam Atma, this Atma, Labhyaha or Na Labhyaha cannot be obtained pravachanena. Pravachanam means, here pravachanam is not discourses, it is recitation. So learning to recite the Shruti or the Bhagavad Gita, how medhaya, memorizing it. It is not going to give you this Atma. This Atma na labhya. The Atma cannot be obtained by pravachanena medhaya, mere recitation of the Vedas or through memory. Na bahuna shrutena, not through mere repeated listening. Then how is it got? How is it attained? Tena eva labhyaha. It can only be attained by that person. Yam, who, yesha atma vrunute. Vrunute. This atma can be obtained only by the person whom the atma chooses. And to such a person, esha atma, this atma, vivrunute. Vivrunute is manifests, reveals. Reveals what? Swam Tathya. To him, it reveals Swam Tanum, its own nature. So there are two sentences. Ayam Atma na labhyaha pravachanena medaya abhavuna shrutena. This Atma cannot be obtained by mere recitation of the Vedas, through memory, or through just repeated listening. Tena eva labhyaha. It can only be attained by that person, yam yesha prunute, whom this Atma chooses. And to tasya, to that person whom the Atma has chosen, esha Atma swam tanum virunute. This Atma will reveal its own nature. Okay. So here,
Acharya, what is Yami Vaish?
sorry?
Yami.
Yam
Yami
is,
Vaish.
yam is who? Yam, to break it up. Yam esha. Yam means who, Esha means this. This is Atma. Yam Esha Atma. To whom this Atma chooses. Okay. Now, in these two mantras, what is Lord Yama doing? He is pointing out, he is saying that the following sadhana is required. What sadhana is required? He is pointing out. And he is saying that Nayam Atma pravachanena labhyaha. This Atma cannot be obtained through mechanical chanting. Because you can chant without understanding. And why can it not be obtained? Because the problem is intellectual. And if the problem is in the intellect, mechanical chanting is not going to address the problem. When you say problem is in the intellect, what does it mean? It means there is a certain amount of ignorance. Ignorance cannot go away with chanting. And if you expect a solution for ignorance from merely praying or chanting, then if you don't understand, if somebody doesn't explain to you that ignorance has to be addressed by knowledge only, then what will happen? You will find that your ignorance doesn't go away. And that yet you have chanted for ages, maybe for your whole life. Then your faith in the Lord is shaken. And therefore the Artha Bhakti, Artharthi Bhakti from chapter 7 of the Gita will not solve the problem. The problem has to be solved by a movement to Jignasu Bhakti, the, the Bhakti which involves the understanding. I want to understand what is Atma. And na medhaya, he says. Medhaya here can be taken as attached, as adjective to pravachalena. If you have committed, medhaya literally means very strong intellect, very good intellect. So here, if you have committed all this Shruti to memory and you are chanting every day, Will you recognize the Atma? No. Okay. Now again, while saying all this, we need to add a caveat. We are not looking down upon chanting or prayers. Chanting has utility, but it will not give moksha. It's like when we were small, we were told, no, you need to rest also if you want to pass the exam. But merely resting is not going to help you pass the exam, right? You need to study also. But it doesn't mean that resting and sleeping has no utility. It enables you to prepare yourself for the study. Similarly, chanting has utility. It enables you to get chitta shuddhi, prepare yourself for the study of Vedanta. And shrutena, na bahuna shrutena. Here also, it is the same thing. You are chanting the Vedas. That is one interpretation. That bahuna shrutena, one of the interpretations given by some commentators is that it can be taken as chanting of the Vedas. But that has already been mentioned earlier. So there is another interpretation also that it can be Shrutena means listening, study of the Vedas. So he says mere Shravanam is not going to give you knowledge, or in this case, moksha. Why? Because mere Shravanam will not give you moksha unless it is accompanied by what? One of the four qualifications.
This sadhana chatushtaya sampatti.
Sadhana chatushtaya.
Which one of them?
Mumukshutva.
Mumukshutvam, right?
Mumukshutva.
The desire.
Mumukshutvam is a very important criteria for getting moksha. And therefore, if you are not a mumukshu, you are only a casual listener to the Vedas, it is not going to give you moksha. It will give you knowledge about the Shruti, but it is academic knowledge. And that's why he says, who can grasp the Atma? Yamesha vranute. Yam, you have to break it up. Yam, enam, atmanam vranute. The one who chooses Atma Jnanam as the top priority in life. So when you say him whom the Atma chooses, you are saying he is the person who has taken Atma Jnanam as the top priority in his life, which is what? He is a mumukshu. He has got mumukshutva. And that is why Nabahuna Shrutena is that mere study or listening to the Veda will not make you a mumukshu, will not give you moksha unless you are a mumukshu. And mumukshu is who? The one who has chosen Atma Jnanam as top priority in his life. Right? Now, yes.
Acharya, but only a person who has that desire will be repeatedly listening.
Not necessarily. You can be repeatedly listening because you want to, know what it is all about. But you may not really want moksha.
Okay,
It's a good question.
academically.
How do you know that somebody has mumukshutvam?
When it is not just an
Curiosity.
academic interest, not to just
So
know
there is a
the.
story, for this.
Yes.
There was, there are two stories actually. There's a person who had long hair, and that long hair caught fire. So when the hair is on fire, what does he want?
Water.
Water. Now, if there is a dirty lake near him, is he going to say, okay, this lake is not very, very good. It's not clean water. Or is he going to look at the Panchang and say, is it Rahu Kalam or not? When should I put my head in the water? Will he do all that? No.
No, not at
What will he do?
priority.
He will plunge
Jump.
headlong into the water, right? So that's one story. The other story is about this guru. Okay, this I think you may have heard from me before also. He had a shishya, a disciple, and disciple had been listening to him Now, this is exactly what is being asked here. He had disciples have been listening to him for years on end. But, you know, he didn't really think that he was Brahman. So no moksha as yet. So one day after 10, 12 years, he went to the Guru and said that, Guruji, you know what? We have had some 5, 7 students. Everybody else says they've got moksha. I don't think I've got moksha. So what is the problem? So Guru said, let's go to the river. So they went to the Ganga, right? And the Guru told the disciple, okay, you know, just dip in the water and have a bath. So the disciple dipped in the water. When the disciple's head went under water, the Guru put his hand on the head and prevented the disciple from coming out. So the disciple struggled and struggled, and when he was almost drowning, then the Guru let him out. What was the question the Guru asked?
What did you needed at the time inside?
What
Yeah.
were you thinking about when you were
Yeah.
almost drowning? What was the answer?
Air.
Yeah. Did he want anything else?
No.
Mumukshutvam.
Yeah.
Mokshottam. Not in the mokshottam. If your desire to get moksha is like that, then you are a mumukshu. Which means you know, the number of desires that I've got for anatma, the more, what is the logic? The more desires I've got for anatma things, the less time I have got to give to moksha, to give to Vedantic study. And that's why he says the one who has chosen Atma Jnanam as his priority, Tena Labhyaha. Such a sincere seeker, for him, the Atma is not difficult to attain. Tasya, for that seeker, Esha Atma Swayam Swam Tanum Virunute. Virunute here means reveal. The Atma will reveal its actual nature, Paramatma Swarupa. So the sadhana highlighted here is Mumukshutvam. Nourish your spiritual hunger. And all of you know that, like babies, once the baby is a toddler, and this is something I'm relearning now. When the baby is not hungry, you need to walk behind it. He'll run all over the room and then you'll feed him one bit, then you go and jump on the table, on the chair, all those things. But when it's really hungry, you don't have to do anything. It'll come towards you. And that's why I keep saying that if you have this mumukshutvam, the spiritual hunger, then you will enjoy Vedanta class. You will look forward to Saturday, Sundays. But if you don't have this hunger, then you'll keep saying, no, today I've got a social engagement. Today I'm traveling. Today I'm doing this. Today I'm doing that. The one who prioritizes his class over everything else, he is a mumukshu. And of course, there is another interpretation here that Ishvara Anugraha must be there. And so when you say that whoever the Atma chooses, you can replace that word Atma with Ishvara. Whoever Paramatma chooses, only he will get moksha. What does that mean? The grace of the Lord. Again, you understand correctly. The grace of the Lord is available to whom?
To the seeker.
Also to the one who has a will, who's always thinking.
Guru.
Let's
To
look
the
at
one
this.
who makes efforts.
No. The understanding of this is very careful. So let me make anatma example. Sunlight is available to who?
To everyone.
To everybody.
How do only some people get solar power?
They take necessary effort to use it wisely.
Yeah, the effort, the
Exactly.
prayatna to.
Grace of the Lord is available
To tap it.
without any partiality to everybody. And that's why Krishna says, Sammoham sarvabhuteshu. All people are equal to me. But who gets this grace? Grace is available, but you have to tap into it. Therefore, if you have chosen moksha, then only you will get that grace. Who deserves is not determined by Ishvara, but who deserves is determined by the sadhaka. How does it determine? By choosing the appropriate sadhana. If he chooses Kundalini Yoga, he will get certain results, but not moksha. If he chooses Karma Yoga, he will get certain results. If he chooses Upasana Yoga, he will get certain results. If he chooses Karma Yoga, Karma Upasana and Jnana Yoga, then he will get moksha. Okay. Now we look at mantra number 24. We will chant. Navarito duscharita
Navarito dushitaat
na shanto na samahitaha
na
Nashanto
shanto
samahitaha
na shantamanaso vapi
na
Shantamanaso
vapi
jnanenainamapnuyat.
Prajnanenainamapnuyat.
Okay. So, na, again you have to break it up carefully. Na duscharitat avirataha. Avirataha means, see, virataha. Virataha means the one who has turned his back on, the one who has given up, right? Avirataha means the one who has not given up. So, avirataha, the one who has not given up, duscharita, bad conduct. So that is one definition. The person who has not given up bad conduct. And then na ashantaha. Na shantaha is na ashantaha. The one who is not peaceful. And you have to look at the next word also. Na sammohitaha. The one who lacks concentration and apnuyat can obtain enam. Enam is this, and it supply this atma prajnanena, through knowledge. Okay, so what are the words? Na avirataha duscharita, the one who has not given up bad conduct. Na ashantaha, and you have to also look at na api shanta manasaha. Okay, shanta manasaha. So here na api ashanta manasaha. Ashanta manasaha is the mind which is not peaceful. Now, when you do that for interpretational purposes, you look at na shantaha. Normally, what does na shantaha mean?
Not peaceful.
One who not peaceful.
No shanta.
Then, but you are also looking at this next word, na ashanta manasaha, the one who has a mind which is not peaceful. And therefore, you have to give a different interpretation to the first line, na shantaha. You cannot take that as the mind which is not peaceful, because otherwise there will be defect of repetition. You are saying na ashanta manasaha is there in the second line, which means the mind which is not peaceful is already there. Therefore, na shantaha has to refer to what?
Body.
The body or
Focus.
sense organs. Sense organs. Okay, so na shantaha on the first line is the one who has got no dhamma, the one who lacks sense control. And na ashanta manasaha is the one who lacks sama.
Sama.
Okay, mind control. So just how to interpret. Okay. Now, for gaining knowledge, here, four virtues, four qualities are being highlighted, which we have already seen in Tattvabodha. So you can see Indriya Nigraha. That is what is meant by Shanti, the one who has got Dhamma. Then there is Shama, Mano Nigraha. Then there is focus of mind, Samadhanam. And then there is the person who has got a moral and ethical way of living, Dharmika Jiva. Okay. So the first line here highlights Dharma. And Dharma is what? Something which is good for me as well as good for society. Right? And there is a very common misinterpretation that the jnani is not bound by dharma, which is not true. There can be no compromise with dharma either during your stage of studying as ajnani, when you are a sadhaka, also there should be following up with dharma. And after jnanam, as a jnani, also you should be following dharma. Both ajnani and jnani, because ajnani sadhaka, ajnani sadhaka and jnani have to lead a dharmic life. They cannot compromise with dharma. And initially, you will find everywhere that dharma is presented as a means for sukha praptihi, obtaining happiness, and dukkha nivratihi, removing sorrow. This is artha kama moksha. Dharma is the means, is the sadhanam for what? Artha, kama, and moksha. So dharma is presented as a means for avoiding suffering also. And therefore, dharma can be both the means for acquiring happiness, whatever you need, and for removing what you don't like, what gives you sorrow. So when you say dharma is the tool, dharma is the sadhanam. And happiness, which you are trying to acquire, is what you get through sadhanam. What is that objective called sadhyam? So sadhana gives you sadhyam. Dharma is sadhana and happiness is the sadhyam. One is the tool, dharma is the tool, and happiness is the end. And when you compare these two, which is more valuable, the tool or the end?
Tool.
In the end.
Here we cling. Why is the end more valuable?
End will come anyhow, no?
End means what? End means the objective here, okay? Not the end as in ending of some things. Sadhana sadhyam. If you are driving to Bangalore, let us say from Bombay, what is the sadhana? What is the sadhyam?
Acharya ji, Bangalore is the sadhyam, and driving to Bangalore is the sadhana. So sadhana is more important to reach Bangalore.
No, but is the sadhana more important or sadhyam more important?
Raviji,
Why are you doing the sadhana?
Or the sadhyam.
The end will come with the correct implementation of the tool.
Correct. But the sadhana and sadhyam, if you have to say that between the two, I have to choose, which will you choose?
Raviji, may
Satyam.
I
Please, Natarajji, please.
see? Suppose, for example, you have only one means of achieving that one end result. That both are
Absolutely.
equal. But if there are multiple means to achieve the end, then the end is more important. There is a choice of which means to adopt.
Yeah. So, in the focus of things, your main objective is the end. And then you say, as Natarajan, I mean, very nice example. If you have more than one means, for example, then your vision becomes broader. I can take any means. Therefore, sadhyam is more important. Why am I entering the discussion? Because if I look upon dharma as a sadhanam for moksha, then the question is, once I reach Bangalore, do I keep driving? No. And therefore, once the sadhyam is reached, normally the sadhanam is dropped. And if you say that dharma is a sadhanam for moksha, then what are you going to say? Once I get moksha, I don't need dharma anymore. You get the argument?
जी.
And therefore, a jnani cannot look upon dharma as a sadhanam, because the jnani then, after reaching jnanam, if he drops dharma, it might be a adharmic life. And therefore, Veda says, Shruti says, initially follow dharma as a sadhana for various purusharthas. Okay. But somewhere along the line, you should understand that dharma, the value is as good as the sadhyam. The value of the sadhana is as good as the sadhyam. And therefore, whether you have attained moksha or not, you should not be dropping dharma at all. So therefore, after gaining jnanam, see, after gaining jnanam, what happens? Dharma is sadhyam. Right? After gaining jnanam, sorry, up to gaining jnanam, dharma is sadhana. After gaining jnanam, after becoming jnani, dharma should be looked upon as a sadhyam itself, something of value for its own sake. So that this idea is being conveyed through this mantra. He says, Prajnanena enam apnuyat. Prajnanena, through jnanam, enam, moksha, apnuyat. The person will get moksha. So the key is enam prajnanena apnuyat. This person will get moksha through jnanam only on fulfillment of some conditions. What is that? Number one, navarito duscharita. You should withdraw from unethical ways of life. So whether you look upon dharma as sadhana or sadhyam or your own nature, dharma should not be dropped. The one who has not withdrawn from dharma, that means the one who is adharmic, he will not get moksha. And what is, somebody will ask, okay, give a definition of adharma and dharma. What is simple definition?
You said what is good for you and others, that is dharma. And whatever
Yes. What you do not want others to do to you, do not behave in that way with others, and behave with others in the same manner as you would like them to behave with you. Okay, all this is, this two sentences are encapsulated in one small little verse from Mahabharata. You may have heard it. It says, Shruyatam dharma sarvasvam shrutva chaiva avadharyatam. What does it mean? Dharma sarvasvam shruyatam. Listen to the essence of dharma. Shruyatam dharma sarvasvam. Listen to the essence of dharma. Shrutva. Having listened to it. Cha eva avadharyatam. Having listened to it, avadharyatam. Dwell upon it. Turn it over in your mind. Meditate on it. And what is that? This first line is simply saying that I am going to tell you the essence of dharma. Having listened to that, you should try to completely assimilate it. Avadharyata. Assimilate the essence of dharma. What is the essence? It's in the second line. It's a very famous line. Atmanaha pratikulani Your Atma is you. Pratikul means what is adverse, what is unfavorable. Atmanaha pratikulani, what is not favorable to me, paresham samacharet. Do not ever adopt those means in your transactions with others. Right? And if you want an expansion of this, in 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we read a whole list of adharmic qualities. Asura sampat. Okay. Then the word nashanto is here. Nashanto simply means the one who does not have dhamma. So shanta means sense control. You have to decide, are you a slave of your sense organs? If you are not, if you have got indra nigraha, then you are not na shantaha. You are shantaha. You are a person who has got dhamma. Then na ashanta manasaha, the person who is not a slave of his thoughts, one who is a master of his thoughts. And what does it mean? Does it mean that I will never get any negative thoughts? No. You have a mind, vasanas are there in the mind. The vasanas will generate negative thoughts on certain triggers. When that negative thought comes, don't beat yourself up. What is most important is, what is more important is, how do I handle those negative thoughts? Do I dismiss them or do I dwell upon them and nourish them and make it stronger? Therefore, as far as Shastra is concerned, arrival of adharmic thoughts due to your vasanas is not to be looked down upon because it is natural. It is part of your mind. But perpetuation of those thoughts, that is adharma. This is called shama, the capacity to handle your mind. And na samahitaha, focused attention, samadhanam of tattva, consistent efforts for a length of time. Therefore, samahitaha here means chitta samadhanam, which we saw in tattva. Now, which is, if you look at this mantra, you will find that these two mantras, 23 and 24, they are the very basis for what?
The
Sadhana
Chatushtaya.
Chatushtayam.
Sadhana Chatushtayam. Tattva has got its base in these two mantras, 23 and 24. So with this, we'll stop here. I would have liked to have completed this only, but okay, doesn't matter. We'll do it in the next class. Any questions?
Om Acharya.
Yeah.
That I'm going back a bit. That Chintamani example, for what did we take it?
Chintamani example is to tell you that whatever is appearing in your mind, it's a projection only. Shankara just gives it to say this works in that manner.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Acharya, when we say that Atma is only known by the person who Atma chooses, could that be taken that if one takes oneself as the body, then one is body?
No. The year I told you that when you say that, you have to make the effort to choose Atma Jnanam as your priority. So Paramatma's grace is available to you providing you have chosen Atma Jnanam as your priority. That's what the meaning of that sentence is.
Ji, Acharya.
It's not that Atma will choose you. Paramatma will grace you, providing that right choice is made. Just like sunlight will give you solar power, providing you make the right choice.
Thank you, Acharya.
So with this, we'll stop here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you,
Om
Acharya.
Shivaya. Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.